A bit of context, we have a son /8M/, and we are married for 9 years, together since university, 19 years in total. We both have grown in poor families, and we worked really hard to get a decent education. We both lost our parents one by one while being together, and we have no immediate support group. All our siblings are scattered around the world, as well as friends and distant family. We moved to the UK 6 years ago for better jobs and to provide our son with better education and to offer him a good start in life. We both grew up in a poor country in Eastern Europe. We have good jobs with decent income. I work in sales, and she is WFH, and we work really hard, but we still don't own a house. We did plan it, but in the last 2 to 3 years we abandoned these plans because we cannot communicate properly, partly due to work stress and tiredness, partly due to mental health issues like anxiety and depression, but mainly because of spending habits. She always picks expensive vacations for our son, and I always comply because if I don't, it's hell. I try to explain. That time spent in family anywhere, even at home, must feel like a vacation, but she constantly tries to escape to overseas vacations. We did couple counseling and individual therapy. I was on antidepressants for a couple of years, and we manage our stress better now. We try our best to hide our issues from our son, but he is growing more aware, and whenever he feels we are starting an argument, he is trying to distract us with silly questions and recently with bad behavior in order to draw our attention from our argument, although we are just having a conversation, and it breaks my heart. One of the main issues is she has undiagnosed ADHD, 99% sure. She can't focus on a conversation for more than 15 seconds, starts to provoke me, and gets manipulative and emotional, eventually bringing out the worst in me, and sometimes I lose my calm. If I try to ignore, it gets worse and the problem remains unsolved. If I try to tell her it is not a good time, or not when our son is here, she blames me for everything, even when we have to discuss daily problems like our son's education, errands, bills, or intimate stuff. She never admits wrongdoing, and when she does, she is being sarcastic and puts it on me. Yes, master, you are always right, as you say, etc. I am not trying to portray her as the devil. She has good parts too. I have my parts to blame, but when I try to admit my wrongdoing, when I try to change and fix my behavior, she sees it as a personal win and goes on more and presses me harder. Basically, if I offer her a finger, she would take my whole hand. We haven't had sex in almost a year. I just can't, and she won't initiate due to being proud, but she always blames me for this, but I can't do it. I need an emotional connection which isn't there, as I have explained. Our therapist suggested divorce in an individual session because we are unhappy and we don't love each other. Therapist words: if you are unhappy together, your son will also be unhappy. He will be happy if at least one of you is happy, no matter if you are together or separated. I am worried about our future, about our son's future, and try my hardest to make things work. I don't know what to do. I mentioned to her yesterday about divorcing, and since then she went mayhem. Constant blaming. She also manipulates our son. Daddy wants to leave us, although I want to be 100% involved in my child's life. Our son is way smarter, kinder, and empathic than we ever were, and I explained to him I will always be here for him and never leave him. I have never been more afraid. I don't know what she is capable of. She once hit me during the pandemic and told her GP that I used violence. The police came weeks later to investigate and found no wrongdoing, and when I brought this to the couple's counseling, she denied that she hit me and blamed me again. I am tired of being afraid. Any decision will be better now than doing nothing and accepting my fate. Please help me. TLDR, I've been with my wife for 19 years. We face communication issues, stress, and potential ADHD. Our 8-year-old son senses our tension. Therapy hasn't fully resolved our problems. Our therapist suggested divorce. After mentioning it, she reacted strongly, even involving our son. I fear her unpredictability due to a past false accusation. Comments: yeah, if your counselor has mentioned divorce, then I think you should entertain it seriously. Obviously, it won't be easy because you cannot communicate. Maybe see a social worker to see how this can work out, especially for the sake of your child. I agree with your counselor. Your child needs to see his parents or parent happy to learn that behavior. Your wife really doesn't seem to want to try. Frankly, your wife sounds toxic if not outright abusive. It is definitely time to leave the relationship, but please look up some resources for DV and proceed with those recommendations, like documenting everything, changing your passwords, etc. It might be overkill, but I don't think you can trust her to react as a reasonable person would. Speak to a lawyer. Continue to see your therapist individually and plan carefully. Update. So, after thinking a lot about this, I decided to confront my anxieties and tell my wife I want a divorce, but first, we need to separate, me moving out, and discuss shared custody and other plans. As stated in my previous post, I previously mentioned divorce to my wife and she probably thought I was bluffing. We arranged a meeting for yesterday. We have busy schedules and our son was at school, and put all the cards on the table. I was rational and calm and she listened with her eyes fixed on me without blinking for the whole 10 to 20 minutes, which is unusual. I have explained that this is the mature thing to do and it will benefit everyone. We can't continue like this because it will destroy everyone in our family eventually. But when I finished and asked her what are her thoughts, she started to beg me to reconsider. She will change and she will rethink her life choices and we will make it work. She begged me all day long until we went to bed. She kept messaging me, sending voicemails, etc., all saying the same thing. Please don't leave, we will make it work. She was all emotional and I could not get her to reason. This was her continuous reply in various ways and forms, trying to remind me of the good times and moments. I know that half of her so-called emotional arguments are true. They are exactly where my doubts are and where our things really were working out. And she promised the other bad things she will improve and she will be a better mother and wife. After I slept over this, I am having second thoughts again. I have been rational all the time, but now I am torn. I can't even drink a coffee. People that have separated or were on the brink of divorce but gave up and moved forward being together. How did you work out things and how is life after? What were the boundaries set and how did they work? Relevant comments. You are unhappy together. You haven't had sex in a year and she is manipulative and blames you for most everything. You can't change people, they can only change themselves. You can give her a chance if you want, but in your previous post you mentioned that you told your therapist you don't love each other anymore, so what's the point? OOP's reply. I agree with you. I am trying to see if there is any way we can bring to life what we once had. I am now very confused and the mixed feelings are tearing me apart and I can't think rationally. If there is a chance that she will change, I will double that and take it and also change myself. I just need to see if there is anyone who experienced this. It may be wishful thinking, but there might be some couple that made it work and have been in our situation. A user replies to OOP, if you want a real answer, ask her for a plan on what she plans or thinks she needs to change and how she will enact these changes or how she plans to make them. Ask her to put some serious thought into this and get back to you in a week after she has had time to go through everything and make up a plan. Then sit down with her and see if what she plans to change or thinks she needs to change lines up with what you think she needs to change. If they don't match, then you need to do what feels right for you. If she really wants to change, then she would have listened to you and carefully thought up of all she needs to do, and it will include everything you have said and you can move forward. If her plan doesn't match, then I doubt anything would improve and you will just get empty promises of change but never see it. From my experience, if a person is dedicated to changing, they would have listened to you and start making those changes from day one and not wait. If that doesn't happen, she's just playing you. I know it's a scary time, but do you really believe she can just change? Like instantly become a different person? She may be able to act like it for a short period, but long term she will revert back to her old self. Try a trial separation of at least a year. If she's serious about fixing the relationship, she should be willing to do the hard work. OOP's reply, that is exactly my thought, and it makes me more scared. That's exactly what I proposed, trial separation. I will also help financially in case she won't manage the money. You described manipulative behavior in your last post, and while of course all stories have their sides, this behavior where she's constantly bombarding you with reasons not to get divorced, well, that could also be interpreted as manipulative behavior. While there might not be an objectively correct way to deal with the specter of divorce, usually the ideal way is to either say, "Oh, well, clearly our relationship requires intense repair, and the fact that I haven't seen any of this coming implies I need to investigate further," or "You are right, ultimately we will be better off as either allies or strangers." Both of these options take work, introspection, and quite a lot of grim self-examination that most of us don't like to do. Your wife appears to have chosen an option that gets to sidestep all of that work and place you in the position of either doing the work for her or absolving her of any work altogether. She tells you that your marriage had plenty of good times, but that's not dealing with the problem. That's trying to bury it by gaslighting you into thinking that you were actually having a great time when in fact you were not. She tells you she'll change, but doesn't outline how or why. What you have left is the intangible and amorphous general idea of change. You will presumably be telling her what needs changing and what will need to be done. You will probably be booking the counselors and drawing up the chore charts and making time on the calendar for date nights, and eventually, you'll either be happy and she can stop thinking about it, or you'll give up and she can stop thinking about it. None of these suggestions will make her more capable of dealing with criticism gracefully. None of them will stop her snapping at you or sarcastically calling you master when she's proven wrong. None of them will heal the lack of emotional connection that has destroyed your sex lives. All of that change, all of it needs to come from within the both of you, and it needs to be sincere, slow-burning self-realization, not panic-induced promises that will be walked back or forgotten next week. OOP's reply: "Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much your comment means to me and how eye-opening your words are. Thank you again for taking the time to write it down." Ask her this: if she could really change the way she acts and treats you, why didn't she do it before? Why didn't she change when she was physically abusive instead of lying about it? If threatening to leave is the only way she will change, how long do you think it will last? Does she even know what it is she's supposed to change? Ask her. Her answer will have nothing to do with the real issues. You've known her a long time. Do you honestly believe she is capable of changing? OOP's reply: she thinks that she never had a female role model in life. Her mom was a domestic abuse figure and her dad was physically abusing/beating her mom until they grew up. I am always trying to use soft power and convince people, rather than forcing them. That is why I feel now she is being forced by my decision and she really wants to change, but I don't know if it will be long-term. I believe people can change, but only if this comes from themselves, not from exterior pressure. Comments: boy, sometimes people don't get it together until one partner is ready to bounce. But this one is so far gone that their marriage counselor recommended divorce. Someone whose whole profession is helping two people make their shit work said throw the whole marriage out. That's kind of big, IME and IMO. Second story. I'm not someone who has ever wanted kids to start with. I knew I was unable to have children from a very young age due to a medical condition and made peace with this long ago, and it wasn't difficult for me to. I have been married to my husband for 3 years now and absolutely adore his daughter. She's a literal ray of sunshine joy. And he has been honest with me from day one that his daughter will always be his first priority, something that I actually admired about him. I also understood that he will never be able to leave her with her mother because she has a drinking problem that can lead to violence. However, recently he started being very judgmental of everything me and his daughter do together. His daughter is now 7 years old and a few months ago fell during practice and fractured her arm. He was very worried about her, and I was too, but he has always been very protective of her. When I told him that he should relax, she'll be all right, and that he can't control every aspect of her life as a way to comfort him, he told me that he'll never be someone like my father. Something that really hurt me, but I let it slide. After this incident, he started throwing comments here and there about how I'm being careless with her, or how I'm not fit to be around her, or how I sometimes act so childish with her. A few days ago, I was going to pick her up from school, but I was 15 minutes late due to a hold-up at work while he was out on a business trip. I felt that she was upset about waiting this long because she never had to wait this long before, but she didn't complain, I just felt it. She was not as upbeat as she usually was, so I decided to cancel my plans for the weekend and spend some time with her, with the promise that all studies will be done on Sunday, which almost always was the usual case. We had a what she called girls only day till Dad comes home. Went shopping, ate out, had a Disney marathon, and spent some time by the backyard pool. That was over the course of 2 days till my husband came back home. I told him what we did over the few days he was away, which I have of course mentioned over the phone when we talked, or his daughter mentioned when he called her. Though, his reaction was not what I expected one bit. His first words to me was, "Do you think you can be a proper mother figure for once in your life?" A sentence that till now still bothers me and echoes on my head. We had a big argument which ended with me saying that if he doesn't see me as a proper mother figure to his daughter, he should send her to live with her real mother. I still feel bad about saying this, and I know that it will upset me to no end if he actually separated her from me, because I have honestly grown very attached to her. Though still, I do not know if there is something I am not seeing or if there is something I fail to understand. Maybe I do not have the instinct to mother a child, or I am not seeing it as big of a responsibility as it should be. I just do not understand. Relevant comments, NTA. I think couple counseling would help, as blended family can be complicated with lots of different feelings that can be hard to sort through. My gut feeling is that he's somehow jealous of your close relationship with her. Maybe he always had a distant relationship with his own parents and feels threatened by your close bond with his daughter, as it's not how he's been raised. As always, communication is going to be needed to fix this. OOP's reply: we both did not have the best relationships with our parents, which led to not having a parental figure to look up to. He was too attached to his father, but his father was always away, while his mother was always absent to their emotional needs, or that's what I understood from how he used to describe her to me. For me, my father was more of the parent to spoil, so you'll love him even if it's at the expense of your own good. Eventually he left when I was in my late teens and rarely called every now and then because he cares. All this led me to be really hateful towards my dad and close to my mother, even struggling financially for a while because he was really well off and refused to send me any money at the time. So maybe he is scared that he'll repeat the circle or something. It's really exhausting to try and figure him out at this moment, when all he seems to do is just criticize everything I do. Update. First of all, thanks for everyone who commented and tried to help with any insight about this. I really appreciate it. This turned to be more of a rant than expected, so sorry in advance. So the issue with his daughter has actually not been about the way I am with her, but a totally different thing. In short, he is not cheating on me, but he thinks I might have cheated on him. There was someone in his ears, and it's his mother. Apparently, mother-in-law didn't like me from day one, and I was stupidly oblivious to how deep it ran. Yes, a part of me did not allow myself to be fully relaxed around her, and I was kind of on guard because she was excessively nice at times, but I never imagined her dislike ran this deep. It was normal for her to call me names behind my back, say I'm not on their level, tell my husband that I'm using him for his money, even though till his latest promotion I was making more than him, and he always joked to mention in front of his family that I was the breadwinner. Now it makes sense why. Also, I was told that whenever my husband stood up for me, her response was, "It's not like she'll be the mother of my grandchild one day." It kind of makes sense now why she had a whole hissy fit when I miscarried the first year of my marriage, as I never went into details about my medical condition with her. I just mentioned I couldn't have a child of my own. Another thing was last year's Mother's Day. My stepdaughter asked her grandma if she can get a gift to Mom. She refers to me by my first name, and never have I heard her call me Mom. Her grandmother went on to explain that she should never call me Mom because I'm not her actual mother, I'm just Mila. This last thing specifically I fully believe because I remember it being around the time that my husband asked me how would I feel if his daughter referred to me as Mom. Her latest scenario was telling everyone that it's suspicious how sometimes I ask her to babysit my stepdaughter for a bit after school even though I'm working from home, despite the fact that I stole her time with her grandchild. Yes, there was a couple of months. I was so busy with a project that even watching over her while I worked from home was not even an option. I can only imagine how did she twist this. I knew all this from his brother's wife when she called me about a few hours ago because she knew I left home and am staying with my mom for a while. In her opinion, I should not give Mil the satisfaction of sabotaging my marriage. I left home after we tried to have a decent conversation about what he viewed was problematic of last weekend. The conversation started great, ended horribly with him asking if I want a divorce because I'm not satisfied or happy with marrying him. Though after all of this, and as of now, I'm starting to think if it's all worth it. To be honest, if I knew from day one that Mil talked about me like this, I wouldn't have gone through with the marriage or even a relationship to start with. I feel like I was lied to in a way. I also do not understand why did my husband not talk to me about any of this. If it's his way of keeping peace between me and his mother, then it's not appreciated. I'm almost tempted to just call him and tell him that it's either he cuts his mother off from our marriage or at the very least expect me to not have any relationship with her, or everyone should go on their separate way. My mind is currently working in overdrive and I probably won't be able to even talk to him and come up with some sort of solution till my feelings are not clouding my thought pattern. Relevant comments. TBH, I would absolutely ask that. Why isn't he telling you? Why is he lying by omission? Does he actually think you're cheating? Does he want you to be a mom figure in his kid's life? If the answers are no, then does he want a divorce? 'Cause he can't have it both ways. He can't let his mom talk shit and then hide it and get mad at you for being there for his kid. Sounds like he's projecting and he's the one who's not happy here, which is fine, but like he needs to be a big boy and own that if that's the case. You never mentioned what Mil said to make him allegedly believe you had cheated. Did he accuse you of that? It's never clarified. Honestly, it seems like his excuse for his treatment of you is some made-up bees about Mil, if he's not responsible for believing her lies and not talking to you about any of it. Asking, "Do you want to divorce me?" is honestly a pretty big red flag. It's like him saying, "I'm pretty much done, but I want to make you be the one to say it's over." OOP's reply, "What I know about what his mother is saying is all from his brother's wife. So she told me what she knew because apparently his mother has done something similar at the beginning of her marriage, too. So from what she knows and I understood is that Mil always threw around how I'm probably unfaithful because I get bored fast and have no discipline. I do admit that I never held a job for more than a couple of years because I get bored and shifted careers a lot, but that's my career and I won't have anyone who knows nothing about my work judge that. As for the working from home, I'm working in an advertising agency and I mostly am responsible for the part of branding for startups. So having a one-on-one meeting with a client at my home office is suspicious for her specifically if I'm sending the little girl away to her. My husband never straight up accused me of cheating, but our last conversation he asked the questions like, "Why are you always sending my little girl to my mom all of a sudden if you are the one that offered she can stay with you? What changed? Or what's up with the sudden change of clothing style? Or since when do you get hold-ups at work?" Though recently he started wanting to know in specific who was the client that I was with, something I thought was fine because the house is also his private space. By specific I mean like name and how did it go and such. If all is true, it does hurt that he would believe his mother's lies and made up stories than just talk. I'd rather be hurt that he tells me what his mother thinks of me than have him try to throw mean comments about something irrelevant to his actual worries in an attempt to escape having a conversation about the real issue. How do you like the stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and let's get 1,000 subscribers by the end of September. Love you.